One struggle, one fight. Migrants of the world unite. One struggle, one fight.
Migrants of the world unite.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming out on such nice day. Yes, it was chilly, but it's making me feel warm with all the folks here. We're one of the 8 cities that are mobilizing across Canada. Rallies and marches are happening here in Edmonton, in Ottawa, Toronto, in Vancouver, Victoria, in Sudbury, Ontario, in Niagara Falls, and in Montreal. We're all mobilizing to call for a full and permanent immigration status for all migrants and commemorate the International Day of the Elimination of Racial Discrimination this weekend. Without permanent resident status, migrants are exploited at work, denied health care, and separated from their families. We're calling on the federal government to create an uncapped regularization program that grants permanent resident status and not an exploitative temporary permits for all undocumented migrants. For decades, Canada has denied rights by denying permanent residency to migrant workers. Half a million people have been forced to become undocumented and live in fear because they could not renew their permits. Who are the undocumented people? Who are the migrants? Are they illegal?
No!
These are often the questions we hear. Migrants are our neighbors, our friends. They live here. They are the essential to our communities. But without permanent resident status, they are exploited at work, denied health care, and separated from their families. 1.2 million people come to Canada each year on a temporary study, work, and refugee claimant permit. Those particularly in the low-wage jobs can't get permanent residency. They have to make a hard choice between staying here without rights or going back to a country where they left because of no jobs, because of poverty, and going back to a country where they face discrimination, violence, or climate catastrophe is not a choice for them. Those who stay here became undocumented. They deserve equality. On December 2021, Prime Minister Trudeau promised that his government will look into the regularization of the status of all undocumented migrants. We are here to tell him to keep his word and create an uncapped regularization program that grants permanent resident status and not a temporary permit. Migrant workers grow and produce our food, take care of our children and the sick, the elderly, and do essential work and care for our families and community. They deserve to have the same rights as many of us. Another question we hear is that, aren't we in recession? How can Canada accept more immigrants? There are over 1.7 million migrants without permanent residency. They are already here in the country. They rent homes. Many of them are doing essential jobs. They cared for us during the times of pandemic. Migrants sustain us all, but denied equal rights.
Shame!
Shame! Undocumented people pay taxes on everything they buy, on rent, often on their income, but their employers benefit from them, and they don't take tax contributions on these workers. Regularizing undocumented people will mean at least $1.1 billion of new employer contributions into taxes and public services on the first year alone. A fair society is one with equal rights, and that's only possible with full and permanent immigration status for all. Does calling for regularization mean asking for migrant and undocumented people special treatment? Hell no. Hell no. They don't want special treatment. They want equal rights. Migrants care for their families and communities. All we want is to live in a society where everyone has the same rights and opportunities, and that means permanent status for all. Today, their ability to get healthcare in Canada, to leave a bad employment or to leave a domestic situation is tied to their immigration status. As long as some people don't have permanent resident status, they have fewer rights and opportunities. This is not about who stays and who goes. This is about ensuring equality for those in the country. Migrants already live here. We are talking about access to rights, which only possible through permanent resident status for all, and not a program for the few. There are many ways you can help. Sign the petitions, talk to your MP, share migrant stories that you will hear this afternoon. Most importantly, organize. Together, we must not let the employers, the government create differences between one another and pit one group against each other. We need to push for a pro-people immigration policy for Canada. We need to push a labor protection for all workers. We need to call on moratorium on deportation and detention of migrant workers. At the same time, we need to organize around the broadest possible worker solidarity, because people united will never be defeated.